All right, so what we've got here today is the Canparison. We've got our Sierra 5 chemo. This has an e-brake on it and a 5.56 end cap. I'm gonna switch that around a little bit. We have a Sandman S here, and then a Sandman L. We've also got a 30 cal end cap and another 5.56 end cap that we will kind of switch around and test a few different setups here. You're gonna have to forgive the video quality, the audio quality. I'm shooting this on my phone. This one's really just for the boys. So first up, we got our 14.5. This is an LMT. It's a Shovelnose, pretty standard Piston. We're gonna be running this in the suppressed setting because it does have one. Over here we have an 11.5. This is in CQB mod 2 with the E3.2 bulk carrier group. We're gonna see, this will give us kind of our, what does it look like on a short barrel rifle. And then over here we have SAM 5. This is actually an 18-inch barrel. So also the chemo is from JMac. We're gonna test it. It has a KNS piston in it. So it's tuned in the cold. It might not run right off the bat. We might have to do a little tuning there. But this should give us a good idea of how these 3 different cans perform on 3 different barrel lengths. So let's get started. All right, first up, Sierra 5 chemo 11.5 barrel. So here we've got our 11.5. This is with the Sierra 5 again, e-brake and the 5.56 flash hider end cap. And we're expecting this to be a little softer shooting than the last one. We got to 300 again for the first 5, nice and slow, and then bring it in. And 100, it's pretty gassy. Have our 11.5 Sierra 5 e-brake 30 cal standard end cap. We're just gonna kind of run through. We'll do like one, I guess we'll go up to 300 again, why not? And then we'll bring it in close. And then just kind of a little rapid fire here, just to get a feel for the gas and blowback. Just for kind of my own sake here, I wanted to hear what these sounded like. I had the electronic ear pro on. I've actually shut it off now. And so I'm going to take a couple of shots, again, just up close. I want to hear, I think there's a pretty distinct difference between with and without the e-brake on. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing it correctly both ways. Did I not? Whoops. Okay, yeah. All right, so 14.5, Sierra 5, the flash hider end cap. Back with the 14.5, I noticed that it seemed like the piston, or the plug rather, was tilted a little bit, and it may have actually been in normal mode. So I'm going to go ahead and run this again and see if we notice an improvement. All right, we got our 14.5 here, Sierra 5 e-brake, and then a 5.56 flash hider end cap. It's also worth noting at this point the can is starting to get a little hot, so we might see slightly different results as far as the flash suppression goes. But start at 300 again here, and then we'll bring it in close. Alright, and then up close. It's still pretty gassy. I don't think it's as bad as the 11.5 though. here we have our 14.5 with our Sierra 5. There's an e-brake on here, but this is with the standard 30 cal end cap. So not the flash hider end cap. We're just gonna do kind of one shot a little bit farther out, and then we'll move in close and do like a little rapid fire, get a feel for the gas that's coming out of here. It's actually pretty loud. Interesting. All right, Sam 5, Sierra 5 with the flash hider end cap. It's an 18-inch barrel. Up next, we have our Sam 5. This is 18-inch barrel, Sierra 5, the Dead Air e-brake, and then a 5.56 flash hider on the end here. This is still, I think, a pretty doable setup. You know, obviously you wouldn't want to run through your house with something this long. We're gonna start at 300, and then we will bring it in closer for a little more rapid shooting, and we'll see a little more gas. This is essentially when we're rapid firing, it'll feel a little different. So here we go. All right, and now up close, just 5 rounds, kind of a little faster pace. Honestly, not bad. Wind's helping here, but this is an improvement over, I just shot the Sandman L, and while that actually wasn't bad on this, this is still nicer. All right, next up we have the this is the 11.5 barrel Sandman S with the 5.56 flash hider end cap. We'll just go, we're going at 100 again. Pretty gassy. So here we have our 11.5 again, Sandman S, this time with the 30 cal end cap. This is actually typically how I run this gun. The 30 cal end cap does actually produce a less back pressure than I see from the 5.56, the flash hider end cap. So, which makes sense, right? Smaller hole at the end. But we'll also be able to compare here hopefully some of the flash suppression results. So we're going to start at 300, and then we will bring it in for kind of our faster pace firing. All right, so this is the 14.5 Sandman S flash hider end cap. We got like, what is this, like 300? Let's see how this goes.
Don't use the silver, use the right.
And then we'll do just a little rapid fire here at 100. See a sense of the gas. So we have our 14.5 Sandman S with a 30 cal standard end cap. So not the flash hider end cap. This tends to be a really soft shooting setup. Again, less gas blowback compared to the 5.56 flash hider end caps. Go ahead and do 300 with this, and then bring it in close again. Close, 100 yards, just kind of rapid fire here. Up now, we have our 14.5 Sandman S with an e-brake, 5.56 flash hider end cap. Take some shots at 300 here. close, a little kind of rapid fire. All right, so we have the SAM 5 Dead Air Sandman S with a 5.56 flash hider end cap. We did turn the gas up a little bit. It was cycling pretty slow. We'll go out to 300, a couple shots. Even better. And then just a quick dump here. We'll see what the gas feels like. Misfire. All right. Pretty gassy. Pretty gassy. I think even with that KNS tuned to, like you saw, barely reliable, still gassy. Here we have the SAM 5, so 18-inch barrel, then our Sandman S, and then this is a 30 cal standard end cap on this one here. I'll talk a little bit more about kind of the setups at the end, so that if you don't give a shit, you can just skip it. But again, we're gonna go at 300 here, just for like 2 shots. Done this a couple times now, it doesn't matter. All right, and then up close, do a couple rapid fire shots just to get the feel for the gas blowback. Last one had some sirens that might not have come through super clearly. Again, 18-inch barrel, Sandman S, standard 30 cal end cap. We're just gonna take some shots up close and get a feel for the kind of gas blowback that we're getting from this one. All right. All right, so up now we have our SAM 5 18-inch barrel, Sandman S, an e-brake, and then a 5.56 flash hider end cap. This setup's starting to get pretty long, so we'll see. I'll actually show at some point the kind of different lengths compared, and then what like the e-brake adds. But we're gonna start at 300 here, and then we will bring it in. And then at 100. Classic, still a little undergassed. Alright, so under that kind of quicker pace, definitely get a little more gas back. The configuration we've all been waiting for. This is the 11.5 inch with the Sandman L. This is a 30 cal end cap. We're going to start at 300 and we'll bring it to 100 again. And then up close. Trigger feels very stuck. Obviously the 11.5 with the Sandman L is like a little too practical lengthwise, so we're gonna run it on the 14.5 and see. I expect the blowback on this one's we're gonna notice it. And again, we'll go to 300 and then bring it back in. And then at 100, just a couple quick. If you thought the 14.5 with the L was maybe still a little bit too usable, we have the 18-inch Sandman L and then a 30 cal flash hider, or sorry, standard 30 cal end cap on this. We'll start at 300 and then go back into 100. That cycles. There we go. So I do seem to see a little more POI shift on the AK compared to the other ones. Gas here is you feel it, but it's not bad. All right, so up close at 100, so a couple quick ones. And that's actually, honestly, not bad. I'm actually back now with the CR5 on the 11.5, 5.56 flash header end cap. This surprised me a little bit. It felt really surprisingly not gassy compared, so I wanted to run it again and just make sure it wasn't like the wind was blowing gas out of my face or anything like that. So with that, we'll go ahead, and I'm actually just going to give this a little rapid fire here at 100 as opposed to the slower pace shooting, just to get a better sense for it. All right. So I see quite a bit of gas escaping past me, but that was not bad. So similarly, when I ran this setup, which is the 14.5, with the Sierra 5 and the 5.56 flash header end cap, it actually felt like I was getting a little bit more gas back in my face than I am used to with this setup. So I'm gonna run this again. Same thing, just kind of, I don't know, 5, 6, 12 shots, kind of up close at 100 yards. Just a little bit faster, and try and get a better sense for whether or not that was, again, wind, or if it's really something up with this setup. Okay, that does feel, there's gas. It's definitely coming out, actually. Here, I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me just do a couple more shots here. And here we are. While I'm kind of out here, I want to give a little bit of a recap. So on the 14.5, the L is just, for me, this is not where it's at. The length, the weight of it, no good. Your S, this is doable. Definitely add some weight to the front of the barrel. I would much rather have the Sierra 5 on the 14.5. I think on the 11.5 here, what I've ran for a long time has been the S with the 30 cal. And that setup is pretty good. It's not bad. The weight, the balance of it is solid overall. But even now with the Sierra 5, I mean, you can see just how compact that is. If I put the S up here, right, at that locking location, you can see we're saving, an inch, and the weight is noticeably different, right? It's only a couple of ounces if you weigh it, but just because it's on the front of the gun there, hanging off the barrel, and you can see I got the flashlight run up that way as well, it makes a big difference. On our 18, you guys with the longer barrels, 20 inches, whatever, again, 100% you're gonna, like, Sierra 5 is the answer here. The K cans, I don't have one. I actually went with the Sierra 5 over the K. After kind of shooting both, I had the opportunity to run a K at an indoor range, and I was kind of sold on this. The weight is still there on the K cans, right? All these, the Sandman series are really heavy duty cans. So full auto fire. If you're doing like crazy mag dumps and everything, the Nomad and the Sierra might not be quite there where you need it to be. But if you're kind of mostly semi-auto, range day, you do, a couple mag dumps here and there, whatever, you're going to be fine with the Sierra 5. The length here, right, I mean, we look at the L. If you ran that, I mean, you're almost an extra can out. Again, the S, you can see a little bit of an inch. So on here, on this setup, right, if I were to just kind of lightly torque that down, right, it is not a short gun. It's not a short gun. So I would still be running the Sierra 5. Now, for the e-brake, honestly, on the 14.5, so there is a very distinct, like, that you get out of the e-brake, right, those evacuating gases, and you do feel less of the blowback overall. But I'm still on this setup because this is a DI gun, right? It's gassed the way it's gassed, and they're kind of gassed for the Knights cans as they're set up. I would not mind running an e-brake on here, right? The difference is it's not gonna change your life, but it's noticeable, and you're right back up with this at that S length. So with the e-brake on there, if I kind of lay this down, I only have 2 hands. You're barely, right? We're like almost at that, if I get directly over this, almost a little bit past that S length once it's sitting down here. I'll put this kind of like there, right? You're like just a smidge past it. That's a worthwhile trade-off if your gun is overgassed. Like if you're running the Knights with the Sandman S, you're running like a Dana Defense, like a Mark 18, any kind of those with the kind of like slightly maybe oversized gas port guns, the e-brake is definitely a good call. On the 14.5, so this is a piston driven gun, right? So we do now have that set in the suppressed setting. There's supposed to be an S and like an N or an F on there. That's long gone. That's been coated and filled in with carbon. So I was just kind of guesstimating earlier. On this gun, I don't really see the need for the e-brake. The Sierra 5 itself was fine, even with the Sandman S. On this gun, don't think you really need it with that suppressed setting. If you are stuck with a DI gun, you're 14.5, even with the Sandman S, I would probably run the e-brake if you're facing the overgassing. It does help. It takes kind of the edge off, gives you a little softer shooting gun, less gas in your face, and it's not a ton of extra weight, right? It's really, this is pretty light. So even though you are putting it way out on the end of your gun, it's not ruining your day. On the L, I didn't shoot these with the e-brake in the L. It's pretty ridiculous. Just the length alone kind of makes it impractical. Now, I could see an argument that like if you were running an L, you would want the e-brake because these are pretty gassy cans. But still, the length there kind of just not for me. Now, on the 18-inch barrel, you probably don't even need the flash header end cap, to be perfectly honest. Like past your 16, 18, 20-inch barrels, your flash is already pretty tame. On these, so kind of speaking just to the 5.56 end cap, like this Sierra 5 setup, I actually don't think this is bad. The Sierra 5, the gas blowback, even though it's a tighter can, it just does not feel nearly as bad as what we get out of the S. I would probably, like on your 11.5 and maybe even your 14.5, I would stick to the 5.56 flash header end cap. Past that, at your 16, your 18, your 20, you probably don't need that flash header end cap. It does help a little with that first round pop, but you'll still, on like an 11.5, you're still going to see that either way. But it is noticeably improved. So unfortunately, I can't take shots or video at nighttime. Range typically closes down for that, but the flash header end cap makes a pretty big difference. Now on this gun, the only reason I wouldn't run it would be because of the gassing, but with that e-brake, I think it kind of makes up for the extra gas you get out of that 5.56 end cap, and that this configuration is probably how I would want to run this gun. It's a much nicer experience than what I'm getting out of the L.